Did the United States Navy conduct invisibility and time travel experiments in 1943? Here at Dark Histories, we are constantly looking for those mysteries that have stayed with us, whether they be factual or made up. It's important to consider them thoroughly as we try to understand our history. One such mystery is the story of the USS Eldridge, which has convinced many people that the U.S. Navy was indeed up to something. But was it as nefarious as making a ship invisible, or was it merely a misunderstanding? Whilst serving aboard the SS Andrew Furuseth, Carl M. Allen claimed to have witnessed the USS Eldridge involved in one of the most infamous experiments in history. He believed that a scientist named Franklin Reno had adapted one of Albert Einstein's unpublished theories on unified field theory. This called for using large electrical generators to bend light around an object via refraction, so that the object would become completely invisible. Given the war raging at the time, if they could have rendered a warship invisible, the obvious benefit would have been a game changer. He would also contemplate that perhaps this was part of an experiment use magnetic and gravitational measurements of the seafloor to detect anomalies in Earth's gravity, supposedly based on Einstein's theories on countering gravity itself. At the time there were also secret experiments going on in Nazi Germany on the same subject. Had the Americans heard of this via their spy network and so started their own program to counter it? According to Allen, the experiment took place at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. Testing began in the summer of 1943, and what he saw astonished him. He claimed seeing the ship engulfed in a green and blue glow. However, instead of going invisible, the ship was inexplicably teleported to the Norfolk shipyards, some 275 miles away, for several minutes, then reappearing back in the Philadelphia yard. Most astonishingly, it was claimed that the Eldridge went 10 minutes back in time. Allen claims that the ship's crew were severely affected, some went insane, some appeared burnt by fire, others developed mysterious illnesses. The most unfortunate were said to have been fused together with the ship, still alive, but with limbs sealed to the metal. However, personnel at the 4th Naval District have suggested that the alleged event was a misunderstanding of routine research during World War II. One theory was that the foundation for the story arose from degaussing experiments, which had the effect of making a ship undetectable or invisible to magnetic mines. Had Allen heard something similar and gotten confused? During this time, the British Navy was degaussing their ships to counter the horribly effective magnetic mines used by the Germans. Degaussing is a process in which systems of electrical cables are installed around the circumference of the ship's hull, running from bow to stern on both sides. A measured electrical current is passed through these cables to cancel out the ship's magnetic field. Another possible origin of the stories about teleportation and the effects on human crew might be attributed to experiments with the generating plant of the destroyer USS Timmerman, wherein a higher frequency generator produced corona discharges, although none of the crew reported suffering effects from the experiment. In terms of moving between Philadelphia and Norfolk, further investigation identified that the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal would have reduced this trip to less than a day, but it was kept secret as the Nazi U-boats were ravaging shipping off the American coast and a safe passage was needed. The green-blue glow that day could be explained by an electric storm or St. Elmo's fire, which is a weather phenomenon in which plasma is created in a strong electric field, giving off a bright glow, almost like fire. Could the effect of the degaussing have created this phenomenon? Two officers at the Office for Naval Research, Captain Sidney Sherby and Commander George W. Hoover, took a personal interest in what Allen had to say. But they ultimately found nothing of substance to his testimony and the allegation of the invisibility experiment. Allen's account of the event have often been called into question with numerous inconsistencies coming to light. For example, the ship was not commissioned until August 27, 1943. And it remained in port in New York City until September that year. The October experiment allegedly took place while the ship was on its first shakedown cruise in the Bahamas, although proponents of the story claim that the ship's logs might have been falsified or else still be classified. A reunion of Navy veterans who had served aboard USS Eldridge told a Philadelphia newspaper in April 1999 that their ship had never made port in Philadelphia. Other investigators tried to get more information from Carl Allen but found his responses elusive or they couldn't find him at all. One reporter from Allen's hometown of New Kensington, Pennsylvania, interviewed his family and was handed a pile of documents and books, all scribbled with Allen's annotations. They described Allen as a fantastic mind, but also a drifter and a master leg puller. Dark Histories believes that it is highly likely that the U.S. government investigated invisibility and potentially still does. We are also sure that teleportation has been a science that would have direct benefits to the work of the U.S. military. Also, if someone was going to successfully cover up such experiments, it would be the U.S. government. However, when it comes to the USS Eldridge, there are simply too many inconsistencies. The biggest and most glaring one: why would the U.S. Navy have tested something like invisibility in a place that was open to scrutiny, like the Philadelphia shipyards? You must remember this was during the height of World War II, and shipyards like this would have been under constant enemy scrutiny. We firmly believe that this was just a story from a lonely and perhaps deranged mind. Please do drop a like and subscribe. We have so much more work to do as we delve into our dark histories.